Hi class. So I'm going to go through the questions that you guys submitted, starting with Audrey's question. Okay, so I hope you can see this screen here, right? I'm unsure what is discharge when it's an aqueous solution. Okay, so for this one, right, I've already uploaded this summary and I told you during lessons that for the discharging, right, for aqueous solution, it is the H plus that will be discharged to H2 gas, and then OH minus will be discharged as oxygen gas. So there are half equations, right? You got to take down and memorize it. Okay, so this is pretty important. Make sure you know it. I think I say it like quite a number of times over the past 3 lessons, and it bears repeating again because there's still some of you that still don't know what are the half equation. Okay, go and download the summary from the Google Classroom. The half equations are put there in bold. Okay, then the next question is the question on brush electroplating, right? Why is the anion and cation both reduction oxidation at copper? Okay, coming back to the practice question, right? If you look at the diagram itself, right, they told you that the brush was positively charged and the metal support, right, is negatively charged. So positively charged panic, right? Positive is anode. Anode is also oxidation, always. Then here you can see there's a layer of aqueous copper sulfate. This is your electrolyte, which will supply the copper 2 plus. Okay, then cathode, you know, is reduction because positive is anode, Pa. Remember panic, positive is anode, negative is cathode. Said this quite a number of times. It is also in the summary. Please go and take a look. Okay, so her question was, how come is copper that is discharged oxidized and also reduced? Okay, very simple, because the question, right, say that the brush is made from copper. So anything that is not an inert metal, right, basically you can say that it is a reactive electrode. And reactive electrode for anode will be preferentially discharged. Okay, cathode not so, only for anode. So do take note. Question told you that it is copper reactive electrode. Okay, and then for the cathode, right, your copper is discharged from the electrolyte. Okay, preferentially discharged from the electrolyte. So that's that for question. I'm also unsure of the color of the precipitate, like how to determine color of precipitate. I looked through the practice question, right? I think the only precipitate that we have is silver chloride, and this is white. That is I think the only one that you kind of have to remember. Okay, the other precipitate colors, right, that you have to remember is covered under your QA chapter. So you got to look up your QA, see what are all the precipitate colors you have to remember, and just remember them. Okay, there's no magic solution that I can give to you. You just have to memorize those colors. Okay, they are listed out. Okay, how to answer question to obtain the most marks? Audrey, I think the first thing is you got to answer the question correctly. In most of your free response structured question, right, are like 1 to 2 marks. So it's very guided already. You just need to make sure that you answer the question correctly. So for example, right, the 13B question that you said, just writing down the half equation at the cathode and the anode would ensure that you score the marks. That's basically it, lor. What do you mean by score the most marks? Do you have an instance where you give the correct answer and you didn't score the full mark? Maybe that you can share with me. Okay. Most of the time, if you're able to write down the correct answer, you should be able to score the full mark. Okay, this issue is more likely for the A-level students because they have many points just to score 1 mark. For you guys, is mostly 1.1 mark. So nothing very difficult to score there. Okay, do not understand. So this is your first question, right? You do not understand oxygen and hydrogen, how they discharge. They are discharged from the H plus and OH minus ions. Okay, so go and memorize those two half equation. That will be good for you. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Quick answer is yes lah. For electroplating, the object to be coated is always the cathode. Yes. Okay, how to tell something like iodine, right, is displaced as liquid or gas? Definitely not a gas. Iodine is a solid at room temperature, but because it's an aqueous solution, it dissolves and appears as a brown substance. Is this a simple cell? Looking at what you have drawn, no, it is not a simple cell because you have drawn batteries. Batteries means that it's an electrolytic cell. It is not a simple cell. Simple cell should react, the reaction should proceed without batteries. Okay, so do take note of that. Sometimes you get confused, but now I know anode oxidized, cathode reduced. Good job. Okay, for question 13D, why green? The context is it is a universal indicator, right? Neutral is green. Why does it turn red when oxygen gas is produced? It's nothing to do with the oxygen gas. It's more to do with the fact that your hydroxide ions has been discharged as oxygen. So in a neutral solution, right, OH minus has the same concentration as H plus. Okay, so when one of them actually decreases, like for example your OH minus, it decreases in concentration. What happens is the H plus now has more concentration, higher concentration than your OH minus. So this causes the solution to turn acidic. Okay, so H plus concentration higher than OH, solution is acidic. During electroplating, why does the concentration of the electrolyte stay the same? Because the anode side, right, is discharging the ions. Like for example, right, if you're plating copper onto the cathode, right? This is cathode, plating copper. Then at your anode side, right, your copper is being discharged as copper 2 plus. So one copper side gets reduced and the other side, the anode, is discharging copper. So use up, top up, use up, top up. Okay, so this is how it works to keep the concentration the same. Why discharge of cations are not affected when concentration increases? Okay, this is due to a big difference in reactivity, which we call E naught. Okay, that you can find in the data booklet for A-level students. So I think for now, you just have to know that, hey, if you increase the concentration, the only side that will get affected is the anion side. Okay, the anions, the concentration will affect which ions gets discharged out. The cations is not so. Okay, just need to remember this. If you are really interested to know about this, right, I can explain to you the concept. Then you stay back. I explain to you the A-level concept. Okay, I'll show you from the data booklet how this is done. Okay, whoever asked this question, yeah. Okay, here got quite a few questions. Concentration of solution. Why change? Why charge? Why no charge? Is it? Okay. Basically you see if which ions you get discharged. Is it H plus or OH minus get discharged? Okay. So if the aqueous solution, right, H plus and OH minus both get discharged, then because water concentration H2O decreases, right? Your water is being used up. The concentration of water decreases, if you can say that. There's less water, right? So your solute will increase in concentration. Okay, it's the same if you pour water in, right? Then it gets more diluted lah. Now you are electrolyzing your cation H plus and your anion OH minus, which came from water. Okay, so it literally means we are electrolyzing water. And if water is being electrolyzed, you have less water. Less water means that the concentration of whatever solution goes up. Okay, so this to answer your first question. Where goes where during electroplating? I think you have to look at the setup, right? You say where goes where, how I know what you're talking about. You have to look at the metal that you are plating. Is the anode, is it the reactive metal? Okay, so that's also important. Why anode is more reactive? Why is it negative? Because electrons are produced at the anode because it's undergoing oxidation, right? So when electrons are just being produced, they haven't traveled out yet, so it's a negatively charged. That's why the polarity is negative. Okay, positive is the opposite lah. I mean the cathode side will be positive lor. Okay, purification is complicated. Which one goes where? Not really lah. You just bring your next lesson, you bring your copper, right? Purification of copper. I will just show you the diagram. It's super straightforward. Yeah. Copper oxidized from anode and it gets reduced at the cathode from your electrolyte. Very simple diagram. Does pH change appear in dilute or concentrated only? Can it happen in both? Basically, you need to see like if only H plus is being discharged, then it becomes more basic. If OH minus gets discharged only, then it gets more acidic. Okay, that's all. Electrolysis affects only anode. Yeah. Okay. Not sure sometimes which equation of cathode and anode. Basically, if it's aqueous, is those two half equations that I told you to memorize, right? If let's say you got a reactive electrode or you have a concentrated solution, then you see which one get preferentially discharged. Okay, this question is like you're asking the whole thing, the whole chapter, how to explain it. Okay, so please go and revise, log into the portal and listen to our lesson again. Okay, I feel I know the concept, but it's not as strong. I think you have to think. Yeah, of course you have to think. Whenever you answer question, you have to think a little bit. Even I've done electrochem for so many years. Sometimes I still need to think. I cannot just one look, I know the answer. It comes with practice and a lot of practice. Okay, practical procedures is not really tested in practical. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think so. Even in A level, electrochem very seldom is tested. How to use the number of moles of element to find the number of moles? Okay, so basically, right, if you have cation, a random metal is 2 plus, right? It needs 2 electrons to discharge. Okay, it needs to take up 2 electrons to be discharged as the metal itself. Okay, then let's say for random anion, right? Let's say for chlorine, bromine, whatever, right? It's a diatomic molecule, so it actually releases 2 electrons when it oxidizes. So these two, right? These 2 electron that is discharged, let's say it goes over to the cathode side and then it reduces the metal. So it's 1 mole is to 1 mole. Okay, and the charge is different already, right? Is that what you're asking? The cation is 2 plus, anion is 1 minus. Okay, actually it doesn't really matter what's the charge as long as you can find what is the mole ratio of the cation to electrons, anion to electrons. Okay, so cation to electrons, and then your electrons to your anion. Okay, as long as you have this mole ratio, right, you can work out how many moles of cation or anion gets discharged. Okay, please see me if you need like an example on how to do this. Yeah. Okay, for simple cell, what should the electrolyte be? Just need to have ions. Yeah, can be sodium chloride. Okay, then I'm confused how the electrons move and how it works cause a voltage difference. Okay, you will learn this voltage difference thing in A level. For now, right, you just need to know the bigger the difference in reactivity, the bigger the voltage will be generated. Okay, conversely, smaller the difference, then the smaller the voltage. One same as one of the previous question. Okay, why sulfate and nitrate will not be discharged during electrolysis? Because they are anions, they will go to anode. This is where oxidation takes place. Since they are already at maximum oxidation state, they cannot oxidize even more. Okay, they are already maximum already. Okay, how to determine voltage? Okay, so Randolin, there's no such thing as negative voltage for simple cell. Okay, if it's less than 0, the reaction will simply not happen. Okay, means it's not spontaneous. Okay, so for positive voltage, right, definitely the more reactive metal will oxidize, and then reduction will happen at the other side, which will become the cathode. Okay, this is always the case. More reactive get oxidized, less reactive gets reduction. Last question. Which are gas for anode and which gas for cathode? Anion goes anode, cation goes cathode. Okay, I think mentioned this many times. How to write the equations? Memorize for H plus and OH. Again, go to the summary. You also need to know the equations for metals and all the group 7 anions. Okay, like chlorine, bromine, chlorine, iodine, very standard half equations. Okay, if you don't really know how to write, please come and see me before or after the lesson. Okay, I will show you how to write. When to apply reactivity series, you need to see when you need to decide what is being discharged. Then you look at the reactivity series. And how to use it? Okay, the less reactive cation will discharge first. Okay, means that they will get reduced. Okay, usually the H plus will get discharged before the metal. That's why we say aqueous is electrolysis of water, right? The only exception is copper and silver because they are even less reactive than H plus. And then for OH minus, usually is preferentially discharged before your other anions, such as your group 7 anions. The only time where you will flip this around, right, is where you have a concentrated solution. Then your anion will get discharged preferentially. Okay, so guys, that's all the question that I had from you guys. I hope you find this useful. I hope you found the answer to your question. For those of you that still have more questions, please drop me a line on WhatsApp or look for me after class. See you all.